Alright, hello guys, and welcome to a mod introduction for Modular Machinery, a mod I'm currently working on that, as the description says, allows you to create custom, unique, complex machines and recipes with JSON. What it essentially does is, for those of you that have played with GregTech, it allows you to define machinery like the implosion compressor or vacuum freezer and so on. So the motivation for this is that essentially everything in those machines was done in one block, and the rest was just some structure which had components in it that handle item input, fluid input, energy input, and reverse outputs for all of those. So this mod is essentially generifying the entire thing and allows you to define those structures however you want with whatever blocks you have available in your current mod pack you're trying to create, and add recipes for those with whatever fluids or items or blocks or energy types you have currently available in your pack, and add consumption chances to this and whatsoever. I'm gonna go over that in just a minute. The mod comes with essentially a generic ingot called Modularium, which some of the basic recipes are made from. And as a pack maker, you are very much encouraged to change all the recipes for this and adjust it to however your pack is going to look like, or the progression in your pack is going to look like, or however you want the user to achieve certain sizes of hatches and buses, but I'm going to go over that in a second. So it comes with essentially an ingot, and if you can rotate this again correctly, there we go, and a few decorative casings, and of course the central block, the controller, and energy output, energy input, fluid output, fluid input, and same for items. These sizes for the energy input and output can be can be defined in the config, as well as the input and output per tick and so on. And well, same goes for the fluid input and output. The item input and output does not have currently that functionality, because I didn't or don't want to go through the hassle to dynamically generate the GUI for those, depending on how many slots it has, and attempt to make it as square as possible. I just don't have enough patience at the moment or time to dedicate in order to make this possible. But it should be good enough. It ranges from 1 to 32 slots. So you are essentially, as a pack maker, responsible for adjusting the sizes on however big or small you wish this to be. So that is essentially all the blocks and things that comes along with it. It also comes along with blueprints for whatever machines you have required in JSON. So that's that. And of course the controller, which handles the actual processing and structure matching and so on. It also comes with a full JI integration for all machines that you have defined in JSON. And you can view them 3D, zoom in, zoom out, and rotate them. It comes with a 2D layer by layer view, which you can zoom in, zoom out, drag around, look at different layers, and see essentially what you would normally not really see in the 3D view, as opposed to non-dynamically generating layouts for the inventories for the item buses, it comes with a automatically generating JEI layout for whatever recipe you define in the end in JSON. So that adjusts itself to the recipes and potential inputs and outputs your recipes will have, or would have, or whatever. So it shows all the basic things about this. You can also, at the moment it only supports the Minecraft furnace, but I guess proof of concept, it supports importing recipes from other machines from other mods. Well, as I said, currently only vanilla Minecraft with furnace recipes into your machines. So they essentially accept whatever a furnace would accept as input and output whatever a furnace would output for energy and some time. Additionally to those, you can of course add just custom ones. Also notable, as you can see here, this seems, well, of course, because the flickering arrow here. This recipe might seem a bit odd, because since you're converting 128 Fe into 128 Fe for one tick. But the energy inputs and outputs, as I mentioned before, support any kind of, I guess, commonly used power, which is forge energy, Fe, of course, or F, because many mods use that, and U from IC2, and of course the, I guess, inspiration for the smart GregTech. So yeah, that's basically it. And then the recipe for the power transformer makes more sense, since you're then able to transfer energy from any kind of power this accepts, so let's say Fe or RF, into another type of power, in that case maybe EU per tick, if you want to output EU from there. So when you're as pack maker define recipes, essentially the mod will do the rest for you. So it will generate a, I guess, halfway decent looking structure preview which rotates through all the blocks you've specified that are possible for a given position in this, and is rotatable and whatever, and the recipes for, say it, machine. So I'm not too sure if I should go over building one of those. It should be pretty straightforward. So you essentially just build the structure in whatever direction you want. It will automatically rotate the entire check along with how you built it. And once it finds it, this will say it found this or that structure, and does then the processing as displayed in the status then. But I'm not want to go over that, since I suppose every one of you guys know how to place blocks in a specific pattern. So that's as much as the mod itself looks like in game. So I'm gonna go over how the configurations and so on look like in the config folder. So it pretty much just generates a folder in here along with others. I'm just going to close all these, which I'm going to open again in a second, but that's not the point. So you can define the sizes of energy hatches, size, transfer limit, and IC2 power tier, which starts at 0 with ULV being 8 EU per tick all the way up to 12, which is, I believe, only ever used in some GregTech add-ons in 1.7.10. However, the support is there, so if you can config some machine to accept IC2 power on whatever ridiculous high amounts of power, then you can do so. Fluid hatches, you can define the sizes for those, so you can change the sizes of these to however much you want. Of course, this is bounded by the data type it uses. So that's as much as the normal configuration goes. Then this is the these are the machine definitions. So the internal name of the machine, the name it will display on the blueprint, so alloy smelter, it will display it here, and structure preview, which is this. So this is essentially the name that gets displayed to the user, and then the parts which make up the machine. So this all originates from the central block, which is always the controller, of course, and goes out from there on. And recipes, so let's say there was this one recipe, I believe, here that takes 32 coal and 8 TNT and makes a diamond, which is, I guess, inspired by implosion compressor recipes, or generally implosion compressor, which always took ridiculous amount of TNT to process something, because hey, TNT compresses things. It's logic, isn't it? So this is essentially referencing the internal name of the machine, so this recipe knows where to go. The internal name of the recipe itself, so this needs to be unique, since that is what will be synchronized with the client and so on. The recipe time, so how long a specific recipe takes and ticks. And then the requirements, essentially all the parts that are involved in the recipe, so it takes energy as input, 100 something, well in that case Fe, I guess, since it's 1-to-1. So 100 Fe or RF per tick. Outputs 1 diamond, inputs 32 coal, and inputs 8 TNT, and that is pretty much what we are seeing here. I guess another example would be this, since this says production chances. So I believe this displays powder. Yeah. It takes energy, it produces gunpowder with a chance of 95%. Generates produces glowstone dust with a chance of 0.4, and has as input 1 blaze powder. So as this entails, you can pretty much just define anything and call it a complete recipe. So if we say we want this just to output 16 per tick and don't want this to do anything else, we can just save this and, well, I guess I'm not going to restart this all now just to show this. But essentially what it would do is literally just display that. It would not display any power here. This will not be displayed, so there will be an energy bar here which just says, okay, this produces so and so much energy for nothing, which is essentially what we define here. So you can make, for example, big solar panel structures with this, or you can make whatever, a fusion reactor with this, which takes 3 fluids and puts out 2 items and energy and so on. So this is essentially if the pack maker that defines recipes and structures is dedicated enough, I would say. This holds the possibility to define any type of machine that is available in any mod to be converted into a format that this mod understands. So you can essentially take whatever IC2 machine, let's say a metal former, which is item plus energy and output another item, or recycler, take in any item, let's say some Ordict recipe or whatever, any item, and produce another item for energy. Possible. take in a fluid and output two fluids for energy is also possible. Or what else do we have? Take in 3 items, 1 item require power or maybe no power at all, and output another item, or 3 items in that case, possible. Or anvil recipes, or generally any recipe that follows anything of this sense or order is completely convertible into any format that this would understand. So as a pack maker, you have then the option to define any large machine that does exactly what you need. Let's say a big endgame centrifuge, a big endgame electrolyzer, or what is a big machine? I always go back to fusion reactor. I guess just normal fission reactor, or like, you get the point. So any machine you could imagine to be thrown upon a user to build can just be defined in this mod. So it allows you to create tasks for the player to build machines to process certain things in your pack. And that is the core idea behind this. It also comes with a wiki, which is on the GitHub page. So you'll then also know how certain things are defined, and I try to be very descriptive in, well, describing what a machine needs and what needs to be defined and what can be left out. So that is as much as the mod goes, I guess. If any questions, suggestions, feedback, and so on come up, you can comment on this video, or I guess I'm gonna leave the comment section open for this. And or you can also go onto Astral Sorcery's Discord, which I'm gonna link in this video's description, and find me there. There's also gonna be changelogs and all the stuff generally that I do with my mod and now mods is gonna be there, and I'm gonna be there, and you can ask me whatever on there. So that about concludes this, and yeah, thank you guys for watching or listening.